The temple issue is fascinating in section 124, because you'll notice what we did with the Kirtland temple. They did washing of the feet, they did some washings and anointings, and they had this outpouring of the Spirit, this day of Pentecost-like experience, and all of these keys restored in section 109, the dedicatory prayer, and 110 that we've covered before. Now in Nauvoo, Joseph's understanding and awareness of what the temple can be and what it can do, it starts to accelerate, and it's amazing. So he is preaching a sermon on August 15th, 1840. So we're back in that middle year where we have no canonized revelations in the Doctrine and Covenants. So it's August 15th, 1840. He's speaking at the funeral of Seymour Brunson. And as he's speaking, he sees a sister in the congregation who has recently lost a son who did not get the chance to be baptized. And keep in mind, it's on Joseph's mind. His older brother, Alvin, who was one of his heroes that he looked up to, had likewise died before receiving baptism, before the restoration of the church and the ordinance of baptism. And so it's in that sermon, at that funeral, where he announces to the audience that God is opening a way for people on this side of the veil to be baptized by proxy for and in behalf of our loved ones who have passed on without having received that ordinance. Well, you can imagine the excitement in the crowd. That's one of the best funeral sermons ever for these people. They are so excited. Very soon, many of them go down to the Mississippi River. And our first recorded baptism for the dead was performed by Harvey Olmsted. He took Jane Neymar and goes out into the water in the Mississippi River. And by the way, the witness for that baptism happens to be riding on horseback. Her name is Vienna Jakes. She was mentioned back in a previous lesson. An amazing saint, and she's the witness for this baptism. And Harvey Olmsted baptizes Jane Neymar for her deceased son named Cyrus. Now, did you catch that? A mother being baptized for her son with one witness, Vienna Jakes, on horseback out in the Mississippi River. And there are people getting baptized in rivers, streams, lakes, and ponds, anywhere they can find, and it's willy-nilly. They're men baptized for women, women baptized for men, no recorder present, no double witness. It's kind of willy-nilly. Now, are you noticing something? That God often will give you an idea. He'll plant a thought, and that's all it is. It's a concept. It's an idea, and sometimes we get really excited about this idea. We know what the idea entails, in this case, baptism for the dead, but what God didn't give is a large handbook for how. So we know what to do. Baptize for the dead, that's pretty powerful. But we don't have the handbook. And you'll notice that these people, based on our handbooks today, based on our policies and our procedures for baptisms for the dead today, we would say, you're doing it all wrong. You're messing up. I don't know about you, but we were angels in the premortal realm at the time that this is all happening. I can't imagine us looking over the railings of heaven down at the earth and seeing these people go out and perform these baptisms in the manner in which they're doing it. I can't picture for a moment me shaking my head in anger or frustration or disgust, saying, how dare they? They're messing that up. They're getting it wrong. I don't think that would be our approach. I think our approach would be, oh, look how much love they have for those who have passed on. They're doing everything they can, everything in their power, to open doors to access the Savior's atonement and His redeeming grace through that ordinance of baptism that these spirits in the spirit world can't accomplish for themselves anymore. Brothers and sisters, I think we could probably have an equal amount of compassion and empathy for other things that we're doing or that we notice other people doing, even if they may not be doing it the way that they should be or that we think they should be doing it. That there's something beautiful about the fact that they're doing the best they can with what they understand. And section 124 is going to give them some very clear instructions. Partway through the section, we'll get to this, where it gives them more light and knowledge regarding the how of their baptisms for the dead. But I guess for me, the point is, don't be discouraged when you're working through things in life, either individually or with family members or in your career or in your education or in your church callings. If you don't have all the answers to how to do it, and you're just kind of bumbling your way forward, doing the best you can with what you got, I can picture the angels in heaven smiling at you in that moment, not shaking their head in disgust or anger at you, like we sometimes do with each other or with ourselves in the mirror. Look at verse 28. For there is not a place found on the earth that He may come to and restore again that which was lost unto you. You could mark that. He's going to restore again that which was lost unto you, or which He hath taken away, even the fullness of the priesthood. So He's promising that you don't have a fullness of the priesthood yet, but I'm going to restore this to the earth. And then He gives more clarification with the baptismal font in verse 29 and the ordinance in verse 30, that particular ordinance, baptism for the dead, it belongs in my house, not out there in the Mississippi River or in the canals or in the lakes and the ponds. It belongs in my house. It's a connecting point between heaven and earth. And He says, He gives the command to build it. And then verse 32, at the end of this appointment, your baptisms for your dead shall not be acceptable unto me unless you do them in the temple. So it's in the General Conference of October of 1841 where Joseph tells them, you can no longer do baptisms until we finish the font in the Nauvoo Temple. Well, a month later, the font is completed. In November, it's now completed and they have a temporary structure built over. It's in the basement of the Nauvoo Temple so they can continue to do their baptisms for the dead. That's how important it was to them. They very quickly accelerated that process when they realized, oh, we can't keep doing it out here.